first wannabe spring storm, and so I found out the seal on the garage door, the actual door, not the one door, is splashied, leaking, and we dropped a light fixture too. The bulbs are fine. I took the bulbs out, put them in this one, and it works just fine. But for some reason, that one's poopied, and I'm not quite sure why. It half came on and then just shut off. So I think the ballast blew out in it. That was quick. What, a couple months? Either way, I'm back out here, and I made a whole bunch of 22 gauge little squares, 2" by 2" squares, to try to figure out this lap welding thing. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out, like I said, and it's got to be figured out, because for me to coat the inside of the car, and it's ready to coat essentially, I need to cut out some stuff and do a little modification to some other stuff, but I can't do that until I stitch weld everything. I want to stitch weld everything, and then I'm just going to coat the inside of the car with some with some sealer, and then I can, you know, grind away here and there when I need to do modifications for the new seat rails we're putting in here and everything else. But I don't want rust starting to build up, and I need to get that done so that I can then move to the outside and seal the outside of the car, and then come back and figure out everything from there, like all the fixes, modifications and stuff. But the body needs to go ahead and have sealant put on it. But I gotta figure out this welding thing first before I go buy a gallon of sealer to seal the whole thing. So yeah, let's see where we can get. 'Judging by the fact that the arc is walking all over the place, I don't think it's getting good enough ground. It starts to get there, but 300,000th try later, and I figured it out. Let me show you. So it's not perfect. I'll tell you right now, I'll be 100% honest, it is not perfect. I started out with too much filler, and then started figuring out, you know, my pacing and stuff like that. And it's going to take a lot of practice. And that's what the inside of the car is for. Nobody's ever going to see it. So as long as they are structurally sound and bonded, I don't care what they look like. So I figure instead of wasting a ton of this, as I'm working through the inside of the car, I'll figure out how to do those real precise 1-inch stitch welds. And I won't have an issue. Plus, it's going to be cooling better than this, because the heat has nowhere to go. You can see that I did approach the edge here, or did get to the edge here, but right here, I mean, it's a little bit of distance, not bad. Right here, it's hard to tell because there's nowhere for all this heat to go. So, but you can see the weird discoloration. That's where the heat line is there. And then, of course, the heat line up here. I don't know if I showed you the right side. Either way, it's nice, and it's definitely workable. And funny thing is, I did that with the 3/32 tungsten and a 3/32 rod. I ran out of 16th rod. I'm building up a list of stuff that when I get to Joplin next, I will be getting some 16th inch filler rod. I have tungsten already. Aaron gave me that piece of E3, and then I have the gray, what is it, 2% cantonated? I don't remember. Either way, I'm excited. Now, what you didn't see off the camera was Marina and I out here banging on this quite a bit, trying to figure it out. And I stumbled across a video from weld.com, and it had nothing to do with this. And I just like watching the guy's videos and soaking the information in, right? And I watched him doing, they called it like pedal mashing or whatever, where you're actually using the pedal to do the pulsing. He was talking about different situations you should pulse or something like that. But I thought that was pretty cool. I watched him do it, and I was like, you know what? I can't figure out this stupid pulse thing. It's me. If the 1 pulse per second that I was trying to use to do it, I'm not consistent enough. So using it this way, if I slow down a little bit, it's not a big deal. It's not a problem because my foot is controlling the pulse. I think one thing I'm going to go ahead and do, you can get the budget kits, or I think they're budget, I don't know, they seem decently cheap. The Gasolins kits for these. Most likely give this a whirl at 35 amps. The fun part about the whole thing is making sure the 2 panels, like the original car panel and then the panel that's getting welded into it, fit perfect, like how I'm testing here. Man, it's walking all over the freaking place. There you go. So I retract that last statement. I won't need filler if I can get it lined up nice and perfect. Running it at 25 amps, hardly any heat at all. I started to add filler right here and then just moved away from it, and easily, once I got my momentum down, so you can see it penetrated all the way through the back. And literally, let's see, let me grab this to this. See? You can see that there's like a light dip edge. Let me show you some of the bad ones. Well, they're still hot. They're not bad. They turned out just fine. See, I can fill holes with that little bitty thin wire. I would like to have 045 a little bit better because this does melt a little bit too fast. I don't have as much control over it, but it is nice because I can pop a puddle and then just kind of work around the gap and move that puddle around as I move around. You can kind of tell this is the back side of one. You can kind of tell because obviously there's a flare out over here of heat, and that's where I filled the hole. The reason I had to fill a hole on this one is there was a vertical gap. So instead of the metal being parallel like this, it kind of curved up from the heat. Obviously, I would have tack welds every inch or so as I move around the metal. So that actually probably, hopefully, won't happen. But if it does, that is something that I can contend with, no problem. And don't pick up hot metal because you leave cut marks in your gloves and have to then end up buying new ones. Yeah, these gloves have had it. See, yeah, I keep grabbing hot metal and it keeps burning them up. I guess that's what these are good for, but they don't have mediums, so screwed on that. They're just too floppy. I can't. Large was the small size they had, and I just couldn't deal with it. So we're gonna add 16th inch rod, 045 rod to our shopping list. and a way of doing more precise sheet metal cutting. I've got the big 4.5 inch cutoff disc. This is not precise enough for me to cut out. Like on the roof, there's just a little bit square I have to cut out. I'm not going to have to fill in these big giant gaps all over the place because of this one. So I'm going to go out and I'd like to get a body saw, but then those things have such a long throw on them, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm going to go to the hardware store or something, or look on the internet and see what my options are. I can always get a real small cutoff wheel and do it on like an air saw, an angle grinder. Like one of these, which is how I do metal prep. It's real easy if there's no scale or anything. Like this is brand new metal. I literally just and I'm done. So success, success, success. So let's get the filler rod that I need. That way I have everything I need. Get the 20 gauge sheet metal, and let's start patching holes.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.